my father would say, तुमको बहनजी बनना है. The primary school teachers of the public school did not know about what Right to Education Act is all about.
Women end up overperforming when you don't have the opportunity, right?
Big family, they were doing all the work, but for every penny, they were dependent on their mother-in-law to give. After 20 years, he's saying, मेरे घर से निकलो. Wherever the families have turned financially well off, there the women have suffered more.
I also went to the police station to file an FIR.
You're not coming to the workspace to be liked by everyone.
I think there's a clear distinction between being liked and being respected.
Dowry Prohibition Act was enacted in 1961.
Right.
Has dowry system stopped?
For women, their sacrifice is glorified. And for men, their achievements are glorified. Today, I have the immense pleasure of sitting down with a truly remarkable force of Indian academia, Dr. Kiran Dennis Gardner. Dr. Gardner has forged a powerful 40-year career in both education and law and gone on to achieving 2 doctorates. She's worked in law colleges as a dean in prestigious institutions like Oro, Parul, Galgotias and Alliance. Be warned, this won't be a casual conversation. This will be an intellectual deep dive that will provide you clarity and provoke your thought. Whether you're a student looking for direction, a parent trying to navigate your kids' lives, you're a teacher advocating change, or an educationalist seeking the truth, you're all in for a candid conversation. A very warm welcome to a trailblazer, Dr. Kiran Dennis Gardner. Ma'am, welcome to the show. The show is called Nisha Ek Soch, and it's such an honor and pleasure to have you sit in front of me. And I know this is not going to be a casual conversation. There's going to be so many important things to discuss because you have spanned 40 good years in the realm of education. You have an experience in the atmosphere of law. You've seen thousands of students and you've seen their lives right in front of you and seen how they've lived and what they've gone through. So I'm so excited to have you here and welcome to the show, ma'am.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And you're looking so beautiful, I must say.
Thank you.
I'm so surprised that, so quickly since I got to know you, I've just seen how much value you would have added to so many people. Because this is the kind of person you are, and I'm sure people will see during this show, the amount of wisdom you carry and the empathy that you show to people. And as a child, when you were back in school, what actually moved you to be a teacher, to go into teaching?
Well, Nisha, I can't tell you what motivated me to be a teacher, but from the very childhood, I wanted to be a teacher. And I was good in studies, but my father never approved that. Because in North, they call teacher Behenji. And my father would say, तुमको बहनजी बनना है? I said, no, you're not going to be a teacher. The day I finished my BSc, he wanted me to do MSc in physiology, and one of my cousin had done, so he wanted me that if you want to become teacher, be teacher in higher education and not in the school and all. So, but I was adamant, I want to be a teacher and I want to do B.Ed. And everywhere, in Gujarat, it was like you finish your BSc, then you have a 1-year break, and then you can do B.Ed.
Achha.
And I wanted to do B.Ed. And he never wanted to come with me to the college to get admission. So one of his friend accompanied me, and we went to education college in Bellimora, and there they said, no, we will give admission next year, but only in MS University the same year you can get. So we went to Maharaja Sayaji Rao University, and I appeared for the test, and we had interview, and my father came with me. And there was a lot of crowd when that list was declared. And he was 6 foot tall. And he said, मैं जाके देख के आता हूँ. And he went and saw and said, your name is not there. And I was wondering, my interview went well. I passed my BSc with first class with distinction, and how come my name is not there?
Right.
So I said, no, I want to go and see myself.
Okay.
And I went and saw, and my name was there.
Why did he do that?
He didn't want me to
Be a
do
teacher.
B.Ed. He didn't want me. करना है तो MSc करो.
But ma'am, being a teacher it's known to be a very reputed profession. It has some honor to it, right? Some reputation that teachers have a very good place, that they affect so many lives, they build so many lives.
Yeah, but what he looked at is like, most of the North Indian do have this, that you go into civil services and
Right.
what do you call? So he said, you're good in studies, you passed with a scholarship. So you appear for a civil services
Right.
exam. Why you want to go and do B.Ed? Like, that is
Right.
what was his thought.
But
Like.
you were passionate about teaching from the beginning. Like it was an intuitive space for you.
Yeah, in class 2, I remember teacher asking, what do you want to do in life? Like, it was a question to everybody in the class.
Right.
And half of the class, they wanted to be engineers. Half of the class wanted to be doctors. And I still remember only 2 of us were there. I wanted to be a teacher. And there was one boy, Prashant, who wanted to be a painter.
Okay.
Right? But as I said, I want to be a teacher. My teacher said, this is not the profession that you should think of, So, like, if you see, even teachers don't want that somebody should come and be a teacher. Like,
Right. But I think somewhere in our culture, we do think of teachers, or we have known teachers to be in the place of gurus. I don't know how much that holds ground today, but I can speak for myself. In school, teachers, some small things they said or did had a huge impact on me. Some small encouragement, some good few values they said in their words, they show through their actions. So I think teachers do have a very special place. But what do you think about the teaching profession today, ma'am? Like, how is it today? Is it good for teachers, the environment? Is it good for students, the kind of teachers who are coming up today?
Nisha, I'll share a very good, what you call, incident that I had as a teacher. I was there in my chamber, and one boy came up. We work in a private university, and students pay high fees. So they feel it is their entitlement. So he came to me and was quite rude. And he's saying, remember, you're getting your salary from our fees. So then I asked him, I said, sit down. And I showed him my appointment letter. And I said, see, this is a contract with the university and not with you. Whether you pay fees or you don't pay fees, it doesn't affect me. If I don't get my salary, I'll file a case against the university and not against you, that you have not paid the fee, so I'm not getting my salary. And understand that you are paying whatever fees is for the course that you are taking. Then I told him one thing. I said, see, we are in a situation where we are confused. As you said, when we look up at teachers as gurus, right? And now we look at teachers as service providers.
Right.
Right? I have paid fees, so I am entitled to this.
True.
So then I told him, if you're looking at me as a guru, then you be like a shishya. Right?
True.
And then I'm ready to go out of the way to help you.
Right.
But if you are saying that you are paid fees and that you are entitled for something,
Right.
then I have already taught in the class.
Yeah.
And if you are not happy with my services, then go to Consumer Forum and we'll meet you there.
The sword cuts both the ways.
So, the thing is, we are in a situation where at one place where we look at teachers as gurus and another place we look at them as a service providers.
Right. We're actually
So
in that.
we have to think, like, if we are thinking of them as guru, then are we treating them as guru?
True. But today, do you think, ma'am, that teachers are actually more on the service provider side, because they also feel like, this is our work, let's do this work and let's go home. They don't have that kind of a very a strong bond with the students, or the whole nurturing space that we used to have maybe, 15, 20 years back.
See, Nisha, when we started as a teacher. We just did teaching. So we used to focus on what am I going to teach, how better I can teach, and you are a teacher. But now, like, if I look at the teaching profession, lot of things have changed. You are asking everything from one person. You do research also, you do publications also, you do administration also, you do teaching also. And at times I feel like, that parents do not have time for their children.
True.
Both the parents are working.
True.
So that gap also the educational institutions are required to fill, where you look after even the mental health of the child.
Yeah.
And there is no way where you are equipped for that. Say a postgraduate person comes and becomes a teacher. Where does he has the training for psychology or looking at to look at this child with empathy? He's so tied up. I have to publish, I have to prepare for my class. And then for them it is, this is the syllabus, I have to go and teach the syllabus and complete.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't have even time to connect with the students.
Right. I think the time is also a constraint today. There's so much to do in such a short span of time.
Yeah.
But are they paid well like the teachers today? Because to be so dedicated to a profession and to cater to a class of 50, 80, 100 kids, 100 students, and to be able to give a lot to them, you also want to have a financial satisfaction, right? Because you want to make sure at your end things are met. You're not going back home and stressing about how life is going to go on.
Well, I would say pan India also, if you see, there are, if you look at private university, there are some private universities who pay well. But there are many places where the teachers are not paid. And even in higher education, I have seen the payment as low as 7,000 per month.
That's very less.
So that's what I usually say, that if you're going to pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys, right?
True, absolutely. That's a very low salary for
Yeah.
anyone to take home in today's times when everything is just flamboyantly expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
And, one thing that we really need to understand, that if we want a change in the society, if we want the country to grow, you cannot neglect education system,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And another way, if you look at politically, like, education has been captured to change the mindset as well. Right?
True,
So this is the way, like, you nurture your next generation with
Correct.
the thought process, with the value system, how you want to take the country
Yeah.
to the next level.
Yeah.
So if we are going to neglect education, we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. But
And if I would also like to look at, like, education system, especially during COVID time, it has been really affected.
it's changed
The
a lot.
children who had developed some skills in communication or mathematics and all, they are lost. And we really have to work much more to bring them to par with others. And
Yeah.
you go to rural areas, a fifth standard student is not even able to read the book of second
True.
class.
And I'm sure there's a
Where are you going to take them?
Yeah. There's a huge gap between education in private schools and public schools. Although the country has a huge 6% that they want to use for funding of these government schools. I think they're at 2.9% now.
Yeah.
And that's a huge deficit. There's a lot more room for improvement, but I think in general there's a lack of good teachers. There's no like training as much as they should be trained. But do you think, ma'am, that they should actually have a private body which regulates, the salaries of teachers, the quality of teaching? Since it's such an important element, education, is there a body? Should there be a body? What are your thoughts on that?
See, there is a body, not that, like, when I look at Gujarat, there is a body which decide what fees to be taken
Okay.
or what fees to be charged. So, like, many would not even want to go and set up a university there because fees are regulated.
Oh, is that
Right?
so?
So, like, if you look at, yes, there is. But this doesn't work as such.
Yeah, yeah. To get it into execution is a big
Yeah,
gap.
and some areas it is regulated, some areas it is not regulated. But more than what regulations, I would feel is that the countries that have progressed has seen to it that everybody gets good education.
True. True.
Right? So, like, we have private, we have public schools.
Yeah.
But we know, all of us know what is the condition of the public schools.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And it is not that we are not spending. Our hard earned money has been spent.
Lots of money.
What we are, the taxes that we are paying and all.
Yeah.
But, our small students have done some research, and they went to the nearby villages and asked about right to education. The teachers, the primary school teachers of the public school did not know about what Right to Education Act is all about. So how are we going to implement?
Yeah.
Now, Right to Education says that the children, those who are not coming to school,
Yeah.
you have to go and bring.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't know that it's your duty to do that.
I think there's a huge gap of knowledge and the law, the rights.
And I have done my first PhD on problems of tribal education.
Right.
For a year, I moved around in the villages trying to understand the situation.
Yeah.
For days together, I used to go to the school. I would never find a teacher nor the student.
Oh, is it?
And I would say, somewhere the parents complain that the teacher is not coming, is not teaching. So before the inspector comes to the village, the teacher would know that there is going to be inspection. They would come to the village. They'll give party to those leaders in the village. And when the inspector comes, they say, "Hey, wo to aata hai. He's teaching. He's coming."
Everything is a setup.
Everything is set up. The thing is, I do feel so sorry about the time when I was doing the research, that those sarpanch and all, their own children are studying somewhere in the hostel. But they don't want the children in their village to be educated.
True, I think that's true for so many people, even in the cities, that they send their kids to very, very, very good schools, but in the positions they hold, they know that all दूसरे सबके बच्चे वहाँ पे पढ़ रहे जहाँ पे थोड़ा आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे.
It is a very radical thought. I feel that all the politicians and all the bureaucrats it should be made to study. It should be made compulsory that they should study in a public school.
I think so too.
So that everything will be okay then.
Everything will be okay. And they'll be connected to the grassroots.
No regulation, nothing will be needed.
Nothing will be needed. But ma'am, I think private schools are actually being regulated, right?
Yeah.
After the privatization that happened, TMA Pi.
When TMA Pi's case came,
Yeah.
The case said that it's a right to occupation.
Correct.
And the question was about the minority, like schools. What are the rights of the minorities education institution? So the right to establish and administer, according to Article 30, Subclause 1, they have the right to establish and administer their own schools. So in TMA Pi case, it was held that what right minority has, that right the others also have. Right? So it is a right to occupation. So it became a right to occupation. So everybody can establish and run the educational institution.
Right.
Now, as you say, they are regulated. Yes, they are regulated. But with such a vast country, what regulation are going to work?
Yeah. I think since then we see that
You see, I have some of female in my society. Uh, they have started working in pre-primary schools as teachers.
Right.
I asked them, what have you done some early child education training and all? Nothing. What are you getting? 15,000, 20,000. But we are going for 3-4 hours. We get our pocket money and we are having good time.
Acha.
पर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि दे आर नॉट ट्रेन टू हैंडल चिल्ड्रन.
So teaching for most people, is it a passion or they're really interested, or what does it come like? What kind of an occupation is it? Is it something that they just use to substitute, like you said, to get some monies, or is it actually people take it very professionally and मुझे teacher बनना है, I want to teach, I want to educate, I want to enhance lives of students? How does it work?
See, it all now depends on individual, right? When I was staying in Baroda, there was one lady who was running a preschool center, like a crèche kind. And every time I used to see those small kids, they used to run and come to her house. A small flat, like a small 2 BHK in which she was running this crèche. But 5 o'clock she used to get up and cook for all the kids. And she would say, you all are not going to give any food to your children because I would want everybody to eat the same food.
Okay.
Right? So morning they'll have breakfast, then she will teach them up to 12 o'clock, then she'll feed them, and then the children will sleep and then get up. And she used to really take good care of them. And so much so that, the children used to say, मैम जैसा खाना बनाओ, आप मैम जैसा खाना नहीं बनाते हो. Like, so the parents were also happy that they were leaving the children in a place where the kids were taken care of.
Very subjective,
Yeah.
based on the personal individuality.
Yeah, how you do.
Yeah.
And many a times what happened, like a person who has not got any job anywhere and
Yeah.
all, and he ends up being a teacher.
Yeah.
जो भी मिल रहा है चलो, like I'm doing.
Yeah,
Right. So he come. Now if you're going to get such kind of people, obviously education system is going to be affected.
But why do we see so many women particularly in teaching? Because teaching, I think, among all the sectors has a lot more women representation, and they do not in the leadership level, but at the level of primary education, a little bit in higher education, lot more women teachers. I mean, do they choose this voluntarily? What do you think is their mindset?
I'll tell you my mindset when I started teaching. I got married and very soon I had my children. And I wanted to work
Yeah.
in school. The only reason what I thought was, when I go to school, my children go to school with me. I come home, they come home along. When they have holiday, I have holiday. This profession suits me. I can manage my work and I can manage my house and my kids along.
Oh, I never thought of that way actually.
So most of them, if you see, will look for a profession where they can balance their work-life balance.
Yeah,
what we
working
call.
hours, holidays,
Yeah.
when the kids are away, you're at work, and once they're back, you're also back at home. That's actually a very important observation that I have not made, and that's now it strikes me that that's probably why a lot more women are in teaching, right? It's a much more manageable profession.
Yes.
But should women actually have their own mindset in terms of career? Like when I look at you, ma'am, you have spanned a good long years, 40 years, and you've been a professional all through. I just want to track you back to your childhood. Like, what was the environment at home? What triggered you to have such a strong personality that you wanted to do something? Right? You come from a Punjabi family. How was it at home?
Yeah, I come from a Punjabi family.
Yeah.
They were my father wanted me to study, do well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a very conservative kind of thought process. Earlier, like in school, they allowed me to participate in sports, dramatics, and things like that. But as I grew big, my brother said, Nahi, you don't go and play athletics. You will have small clothes. The boys on the ground will tease, pass some comments. And I used to tell him, if that is the case, why don't you come and stand there? So he said, मैं तुम्हारे लिए बैठ के झगड़ा थोड़ी मोल लेता रहूँगा. Right? So what happened, like, let her not play. So my mother easily gave in to my brother as to don't allow her to go and play, don't allow her to be part, take part in dramatics and all. So gradually those things came down.
Did you enjoy sports?
Yeah, I have played badminton till the state level.
Oh.
I have played athletics. I have played table tennis also.
I think women end up overperforming when you don't have the opportunity, right?
Yeah,
You're like, I
maybe.
was not allowed to play, मुझे कुछ करना है. And you actually excel. That's wonderful, man.
I did. But then it was till 12th they allowed, and then when I went to college, then they said, no, you don't go. Like, it was more of a restriction. Then I thought it was better, education they are allowing, let me take that first, like. And then I did my BSc the same year I did my B.Ed. And I was 22, and the same year I started working. So from the age of 22, I have started working,
Something interesting you said. You said, they're allowing for education, let me take it.
Yeah.
Is that like a way out, or is it like a way to, build your strength in terms of whether going to job, going to work, earning some money? What was that? Let's take it.
Actually, Nisha, my bua, like, she had, those days, she was SSC, and like, she got married, and her husband was very well placed in railways.
Okay.
But she was the one who encouraged all the girls in the family. नहीं आप लोग सब पढ़ो.
अच्छा.
And uska, like, she would say that you should earn so much that you should not be in such a situation that for your needs you have to keep asking. So you should be self-sufficient.
Right.
And every girl in our house, she made sure that we studied. And most of us did that. We did our graduation, we did our B.Ed.
Yeah.
So that you get a teaching job anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I think one buwa that is required for every family.
Yeah.
Who will convince you and convince the elders that isko padne do, let her study.
Yeah.
I think that made a huge
She
impact for
was
you.
the one, like, my younger bua emphasized on that all of us study. And my elder bua, like, it was a very small incident that happened in our house where I had a fight with my brother.
Yeah.
And I said, मुझे खाना नहीं खाना है. And my mother was in hospital, and bua had come to take care of us. So she made me sit. क्यों नहीं खाना खाना है? So मैंने बोला भैया ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, like, भैया ने ऐसे किया, मुझे नहीं खाना खाना है. So she made me sit. तुम्हारा झगड़ा किससे है? भैया से है ना? तो खाने ने क्या किया है? तो बोले खाना खा लो, शक्ति आएगी ना, फिर भैया से लड़ सकोगे.
Yeah, very, very, very good suggestion.
So, like, many a times now also, like, happen what may.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sit and have food.
Yeah.
So my husband will say, it's such a disturbing situation.
Yeah.
And you are still sitting and eating your food quietly. I said, that is, put it in my head that happen what may, khana kha lo, shakti aayegi, fir lad lena.
Right. I think it also shows a lot about, your mental strength and the clarity of thought. Because you said you wanted to get into teaching. Your papa didn't want you to get into teaching, but you still got into teaching.
Yeah.
So you obviously made decisions that you thought were right for you.
Yeah. And I always wanted to be financially independent.
That
so
clearly.
I was very clear कि पहला काम ये करो कि भाई वो डिग्री ले लो जिससे तुम फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंट हो सको.
And what does that actually give, ma'am? उससे क्या होता है?
एक बार मतलब वो जैसे BSc हो गया, B.Ed हो गया, आप नौकरी करने लग गए, तो you take your own decision then.
And how important is that?
It is so very important, because otherwise everybody will take you to their way of life. Like, I wanted to get married, and my family wasn't in favor of that.
I was going to come to that because you're from a Punjabi family, but your last name is Gardner.
Yeah.
So you did marry somebody whom you wanted to marry.
Yeah, I married an Anglo, and we used to play badminton and table tennis together.
Right.
So he's very good in table tennis. So I was learning table tennis from him, and then we decided to get married. But we got friendly way back in 1977.
Oh, wow.
And we got married in 84.
Okay.
So after 7 years, so my husband says, I have prayed 7 years to get her.
That's nice. So, how, I mean, that must have been a very interesting journey in terms of how family received it.
Yeah, family earlier did not agree to it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, like, I told my parents
Yeah.
that I would like to go and get married to him and all.
Yeah.
So they did say, no, we don't agree to it. I said, okay, then I'll take a call and I'll get. So, not that I ran away,
Yeah.
but I told them, they were all at home, and
Yeah.
I left the house without taking anything from home. I got married on my own. We had and then we started our life. Soon after that, my brother got married. They came, and all things were fine.
But you took a very firm decision there.
Yes, I took a very firm decision.
What was going through in your head? Like,
Yeah, what was going through was like, I took a decision. There was two reasons for taking this decision. I saw my cousins who were married in Punjabi families. They were stinkingly rich, but they never had access to money.
big family.
Big family, they were
families.
doing all the work, but for every penny, they were dependent on their mother-in-law to give.
That's sad.
Yeah, so I felt, no, why? And then they said, no, you so many rich suitors are coming and you get married to them. And I said, no, I don't want to lead that kind of life where for every penny I have to be dependent. And another thing that I saw about the financially well-off suitors, that they had their view कि हमारे घर बहुएं काम नहीं करती है. So that is what like was not fine for me. Like I wanted to work, I wanted to be independent, I wanted to take my own career path and all. So with Dennis it was easier. Like he was open to it, that okay, you can study further. Now when I got married, I was just BSc B.Ed.
Yeah.
I did M.Ed. I did PhD in education.
Yeah.
I did LLB.
Yeah.
I did LLM. I
Yes.
did again PhD in
Wonderful.
law.
Yeah.
And nowhere he ever said that you don't study or you don't go here, the house will be affected. Like he had always been a good support.
Yeah.
To the extent that my first thesis, when I did in 80s, there was no computer. It had to be typed on the typewriter. And he typed my entire thesis.
Wonderful. So I think you chose somebody whom you felt is going to support your life decisions.
Yes.
And you know what you wanted to do in life. And how important is that, we understand now when we see the world, is so important to make something of your life as well, along with marriage and family and everything. And probably if you continued in your Punjabi, the regular norm that was going in the family, do you think this would be possible?
I really don't know. Where I see my most of my cousins, like who have married as per
Educated
the family decisions, right? They have been housewife. And
Are they educated? Are they well?
they're educated. Some of them are in the business family, and they have no say in business or
Yeah.
anything. They are looking after the household. They are looking after the kids. And where I would say they are all working very hard, but they are all working for unpaid jobs,
True. It's unpaid labor.
unpaid labor.
And I think you also don't even get the reputation and the respect. And
yeah.
you also you are not you're demoralized, right? Because what is your value? What is your responsibility? What do you bring to the table? Although you're doing so much work.
Yeah, you do so much.
Yeah.
And I somehow I feel that that is where the change is coming, where the mothers who have really worked hard and they have brought their girls, and now their girls are doing well.
Yeah.
Like just yesterday I was seeing one a reel where a lady was saying that we did everything for the family, but we have nothing of our own.
True.
But my daughters like now are doing well, and I'm very proud of it. Like
So
and
many of these people, ma'am, I've seen that, they get very well educated and they're high achievers in school and colleges and have good degrees. But they go on to, somehow the degree becomes a criteria to get into a good home, a
Yeah.
bigger home,
Yeah.
a richer home. But
Yes.
never really use that potential to do something with your life. Is that something that you observed as well?
This goes on, Nisha, and this goes on a lot. Like I have seen so many girls who have been really very good in their studies and who could have done so well in life. But
I'm sure you have met bright students in
yeah,
your.
yeah, bright. Like I remember like in a very close family where the girl, she did her master, she was working, she was doing so well, and she
Yeah.
got married, and the in-laws said no. You're not going to work. हमारे घर में बहुएं काम नहीं करती हैं. And then they didn't allow her to work, and she was so frustrated. And I'm telling you, most of our girls are brought up like, that they will not take decisions. When I told this girl, leave. If you want to make a career, if you have potential,
Right.
then if they are not agreeing, you stand strong.
Yeah.
That I want to work.
Yeah.
And or I move out.
Yeah.
She neither wanted to stand strong and she either wanted to move out. So I said, nobody can help you unless you are going to help yourself.
True. I think the ecosystem somewhere does not provide the support that women want. When you come out of a system from the family or from your in-laws or whatever household, you step out and you make a decision. The whole ecosystem is like, तुमको काम क्यों करना है? Why do you have to work? There's so much money coming in.
Yeah.
Right?
So, wherever the families have turned financially well off,
Yeah.
there the women have suffered more. Because then they said, oh, you don't need to work, there's enough finance, you take care of the children. And I've seen some even doctors, like you stay at home and take care of the family, you need not work. And it is so frustrating. And we always want to be in the, what do you call, the definition of good girl.
Right.
Right? So, standing for yourself, taking a decision, or walking out means you may not be treated as good girl because you are revolting. Like,
Correct.
I'll give you like an example. I was from the very beginning, like I wanted to. I had my own thought process and what I wanted to do and what I did not want to do. I was like in my mother's language, bit stubborn kind.
Right.
So my niece, she's also Nisha when she was born.
Right.
In Punjab, we come from an Arya Samaji background.
Okay.
And when the child is born, Bua writes Om on the tongue of the child.
Right.
And gives a name also to that. So my mother said, नाम तुमने दे दिया ठीक है, but you're not going to write Om.
अच्छा.
So मैंने बोला क्यों? एक और किरण नहीं चाहिए घर में.
ऐसा क्यों?
मतलब I was strong-headed
Independent.
and independent.
Took your decisions.
So if I write Om on her, she gets my characteristic.
Right.
मतलब जो भी Om
Yes.
लिखता है उसके characteristic. My brother was more submissive kind, so he was asked to write and not me.
But your mother was her mindset was different. Her mentality.
Oh my mother was 100% submissive to my father. If he said दिन को रात कहो तो रात कहेंगे kind ना. And if I even said something or did not agree to if my father has said something, she would get upset. आपने ऐसे कैसे पापा को बोल दिया kind ना. डैडी को नहीं बोल सकते ना.
But she ended up having a daughter like you.
Yeah.
Who's absolutely independent, who has the clarity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you walked out of the marriage, did you make a decision that, if something happens, what if?
Yeah.
I'm sure it will cross to your mind, what if?
Yeah, that was a big thought, That's why before getting married, I thought I should do my B.Ed. So I did my BSc, I did my B.Ed. And then I walked out.
Yeah.
And when I walked out, the thought process was, if this marriage works, fine. If it does not work, I lead a life of my own. I'll always come back home to my parents as guest, but not back forever.
So, ma'am, you actually had that clarity of thought, and how I think it's so important to have that. That, if I take a decision and how I'll handle it, even if it goes wrong. Even marriage as a concept, right? Like, you knew that you're going to study, you're going to take a job, and you're going to take care of your marriage. But if it doesn't work, you have a plan for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think that somewhere goes missing. Like, how important that is for women today, right? To have that sensibility that my life is my responsibility. And even if I have another person in my life, that I can't be a burden, or I have to share the responsibility of my life, right? Like, मैं क्या करूँगी अपने life के साथ? And that's so nice. And how beautifully, like, when I look at your life, how beautifully you conducted yourself. And that is rare, I think. And that's a leadership quality as well.
Nisha, in our country, mainly the parents take the decision for the child, whom to get married, when to get married, how those things are going to be. And when I was looking at my parents when they were saying, the grooms for me, the criteria was how educated, financially, how well off, and how everything. There, the focus was never to see the compatibility,
True.
right? Whether my thoughts and his thoughts match,
Right.
right? Whether they're going to let me work or even involve me in their business or nothing of that sort. It
Like
was
life
more
goals.
like, हाँ भाई आप अच्छे दिख रहे हो, आपको अच्छे फाइनेंशियली वेल ऑफ रिश्ते आ रहे हैं तो आप अच्छे से शादी करो. The question at time when I said I want to work, क्यों काम करना है?
Right.
Somebody is giving you on platter, take and enjoy your life, na?
Yeah.
But that is was not that what I was looking for.
I think that ultimate satisfaction comes when you come to full potential.
Yeah.
When you do something with what is given to you, whether it's your talent, your skills, your mind, your creativity, you come to full potential and bloom as a human being and become a very successful human being when you put all that to work, right?
Very true. In all these, the day we got married, and we got married on 28th. From 6th of June, I started working. So many times, if we have discussion,
Right.
So I tell, नहीं किसी ने मुझे खिलाया नहीं है, मैंने अपना कमा के खाया.
And how beautiful, like, to sit and have those discussions. And was it a hard journey, ma'am, in the beginning?
It wasn't hard as such, but we never had much.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Dennis worked for Swedish Alliance Mission.
Okay.
He was an executive director. I worked in a school there. But we had a good time. Like, very soon, both the daughters were born, and then they started going to school. So I used to go to school, teach, come back, work in the church. I headed the women's group also. I was the chairman for Nurses and Teachers Association
Oh,
for
nice.
6 years and all. So, it was a good time.
Fulfilling.
And one of our leader in that Swedish Alliance Mission, Swartha Walu, she said, no, you need to come up and you need to take up responsibility. So she was the chairman of Teachers and Nurses Association. She said, I'm stepping down. Now you have to take up.
Okay.
So the church women's group, she was the chairperson. She would say, now I'm stepping down, now you take.
Right.
Then we used to take camps for the girls. She used to say, you're going to take these sessions,
It was a very natural process for you to
process
come into
of-
leadership.
yeah,
And
yeah.
18 years in education, science, mathematics, then teaching, and then suddenly you deviate into law.
Yeah.
How does law suddenly come? Because there's no, I don't see how the connecting happens between all this and law.
Yeah, somewhere in the back of my mind
Yeah.
was there. Like, I used to travel every day from Amalsar to Navsari. And there was one gentleman who used to uh, see the hand and
Yeah.
say, and on every Tuesday, whatever he said was truth. So, like the other passenger uncles, what used
Right.
to travel with us,
Yeah.
I was in the fifth or sixth when
Yeah.
they said, "Iska हाथ देखो."
Acha.
So then he said, "क्या बनना है तुम्हें?" So I said, "मुझे तो teacher बनना है." So then he said, "तुम teacher तो बनोगे, but you will make a name for yourself in legal profession."
Acha.
So somewhere in the back of my mind was there कि मुझे कहीं तो भी लीगल प्रोफेशन में भी जाना है, like.
Right.
And when we were in Nandurbar, the law school started there.
Okay.
So the law school timings were 7:30 in the morning till 12:30 something.
Yeah.
And my school timing were 12:30 to 5:30. So we
Oh.
could do that. So I told Dennis, I want to study law. So he said, okay. So I used to go to the law college, and evening I used to go and teach. And this was with my kids.
And what age was this?
I was 39 when I started the law school.
Oh, wonderful.
And my daughters were in 10th. So they finished their 12th and I finished my LLB. Then I became the principal of one of the Bhavan school. I left that and then I joined full-time LLM.
Oh, wow.
And my LLM class, I studied for 2 years LLM those days with students half my age. And most of them are still connected with it.
Nice.
And another interesting thing was that the same time both my daughters were studying in Maharaja Sayaji Rao University.
Okay.
And in the same convocation, I took my LLM degree and they took their graduation degree.
Wow, what a wonderful coincidence. I think also so beautiful that, at that age, it just goes to say that learning has no end.
Yeah.
If one wants to study, one wants to learn, because law is not a subject you can just sort of skim through. You have to really dive deep. At 39, you dive deep, you took that detour. And I'm sure, because when I talk to you, I know you have a huge background and knowledge about law and the legalities, and you also write a blog, about how the law influences society now.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that, there's no end to learning. If you want to study,
Yeah.
at any point you can study.
And the higher education came on its own.
Yeah.
I finished my LLM and the dean there, Dr. Masood, said, "Madam, घर बैठ के क्या करोगे? पढ़ाओ यहाँ."
Yeah.
And I started teaching. And from there, Dr. Purvi moved to Nirma.
Yeah.
She said, "Ma'am, would you like to come?" And then I went to Nirma and the journey of higher education started.
Oh, wonderful. It's a very simple transition to to move into leadership roles in education, or was it like you made an effort, or it naturally happened? Because talking to you, it seems like people pulled you into those positions.
Yeah, I worked for 4.5 years in Nirma, which was when the law school was getting built. So it was a founding team where I was part of it. Then I left Nirma, I joined Oro, and there, was instrumental in bringing up the law school there. Then Nirma invited me back. So there I never wanted to come into leadership position. I love teaching and I enjoy being in class, then doing all the administrative work.
Right.
But that was the time when I realized, that in Indian scenario, it is the administration positions which takes you further, and in teaching position, you may get stagnant. So then I took it up, whenever this opportunity came. So I went back to Nirma, and then again, when Parul called me, I said, "No, I don't know, I'm fine with the teaching in Karnavati." Then one of our colleague from Nirma, he was the provost in Parul, and he called me, "No, we want to start a law school and we want you to come and join us."
Okay. So you were taken in to build these colleges and schools.
Yes.
And
everywhere, it was you come, and same thing, once I got a message in LinkedIn by Dr. Raste, who was the dean in Alliance. He said, the next time when I come to Delhi, I would like to meet you. And I had come here to be with my daughter for holy holidays. So I said, I'm here. If you want, we can meet. So he said, how about coming to Alliance? I said, okay. I said, how about taking one class? I said, okay.
Yeah.
So I took class. And when I went to Alliance, the ambience of Alliance was very nice. It's very green inside.
Oh, nice.
So I just asked Rasta sir, is there any vacancy here?
Yeah.
So he said, are you serious?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, my daughter is here.
Yeah.
My younger daughter is in Dubai. The elder one is here.
Yeah.
So if I get something good in Bangalore, I may want to serve. And I just, then the VC called, I had a talk.
Yeah.
And then they gave me an offer letter.
So how was it actually to be in leadership? Because I'm sure even there, even in education, in top leadership, there's a lot more men than women. And teaching, yes, but when you go into administration and leadership, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot more men. How was that environment? How did you tackle that?
Yeah, in most of the time it happened, Nisha, that in the boardroom I would be the only lady. And initially it was very intimidating, like I would say, like when I used to sit in the boardroom and all men around.
Right.
And in the meeting is okay, you're having a meeting and you have, but when there would be a break, then I would not know what to do.
Right. You're sort of
And
isolated.
they also were little reluctant whether to go and talk to her, whether she would talk. And I would be reluctant whom to talk to, how to talk to. Yeah, it is. And another thing that I found in, most places was that men feel they have the right to guide you and tell you what to do and what not to do.
Free advice.
And even in the younger ones, like when I became the dean, the young faculty would tell, यहाँ ऐसा होता है, यहाँ ऐसा नहीं होता है. Then I used to say, अभी ऐसा होगा. So, but gradually everything settles down once they know that, okay, you know what you are doing.
Yeah.
So
I think culturally, it's an environment created that culturally they always tell the girl what to do. It's an advice, right? Like they think कि तुमको नहीं पता है, तुम लड़की हो. And I think even I've experienced this where everybody gives you an advice and they think that they know what is better for you and you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
तुमको
and
नहीं
we tell
पता
you
है.
what to do and you follow our instruction and
Yes.
then you would be
In a
better
better
off.
True, I think we both have been in that place. But you have beautifully navigated over the years, ma'am, through all these boardrooms and all these environments with, I'm sure, a lot of men. But do actually teachers who are women, do they actually manage to navigate? Is it hard? How is the environment, how the work-life environment for them?
See, everywhere, I always say you get treated as you allow people to treat you.
Absolutely.
Right? So I don't allow them. I don't take things lying down. Where I have to speak, I speak.
Right.
But not that that you are rude, but you are firm.
Yes.
And you want to make it very clear, this is the boundary line and this is what you can't cross. And once they understand, things settle down. Right?
Yes.
And I would say, many times girls or women say that this somebody teased me or somebody said this and that. It has not happened with me. From
Never.
the very beginning,
You've been very assertive from the beginning. I think also because you've been independent and you took responsibility for yourself that every decision will be mine, every choice will be mine, and I won't take free advice or freebies.
Yeah.
And I will put my work in. I think that is why I think...
You see, I would say this is a little different, but I would say that a very senior professor, she said, after her retirement, she sent a CV to me and I want to work with you. So, and then her research was good. Ma'am, these women are on leadership position. But they have not reached there because of their merit. They have reached there because of some influence, of either their husband or their brother or some.
Yeah.
I want to work there because I don't see that you are reach wherever you are because of some godfather.
True. True.
Right.
What is your suggestion for people in this profession? Like, what is few qualities that they should adhere to? Like, don't change these principles. Don't compromise on certain value systems. It might be hard, but you'll create your space.
Yeah, it is, see, because if you see women given so easily, therefore the other part they
Yeah.
would take advantage.
True.
The two things are more important is that you don't go on for that I should be liked by everyone.
Right.
That it is not necessary that you have to be liked. And I always say that you're not coming to the workspace to be liked by everyone. You're coming to do your job. You do your job well and
Yeah.
go. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen.
I think there's a clear distinction between being liked and being respected.
Yes. And the respect will come only through your hard work.
So, ma'am, I wanted to ask you, for women, there's so many women in teaching, but do they make it to leadership? How, like, what kind of percentage? Because I think there's a very small number, maybe 5% of
Less than 5%.
Why is that?
If you look at, it's roughly 3.6% where women are there in the leadership position. Leadership position it's very challenging because it needs more time and it needs, what do you call, taking a stand for yourself.
Yes.
And
yes.
this doesn't come very easily for girls because, again, I would say that, you are taught to be good girls.
Right.
Right?
I think good girl, good daughter, a good wife, a
Good
sister,
daughter-in-law.
good mother, good daughter-in-law, and
Yeah.
it just goes on.
And this good, expecting good.
Yeah.
I don't say that you don't do that.
True.
But do it on your terms.
Yeah. True.
Like everybody should not be taking you on for a ride. And you just wanting to get approval from everyone. You keep doing things which you don't want to do.
So this is why you think that women are less in leadership, because they
Yes.
can't give that kind of commitment, or
They can't give, and it is difficult to take the pressure because in the patriarchal system that we have, and men are so used to, giving directions that it's they don't let women come up at times.
correct. And I think also, ma'am, that for women, genuinely what I've observed is somewhere their sacrifice is glorified, and for men their achievements are glorified.
Very true. Like, it reminds me of that Maithili Saran Gupta's poetry, where it talks about, where he writes that, हाय अबला तेरी ये कहानी आंचल में है दूध और आँखों में है पानी. So when you talk about, like, you are glorifying their sacrifices.
Yeah.
And the women also feel like, that by sacrificing such a lot, like, they have become goddess.
Oh,
Right?
right.
So,
Right.
like, we put women on pedestal. It's a time, like, you don't put us on pedestal, but give us equal rights.
Correct.
Right? That
Correct.
is more important.
But do we actually have that equal rights? Like, do you think the legal system is more approachable for women today? Do you think that they can access, rights and access justice easily?
I don't think, Nisha, that the justice system is so accessible. I'm reminded of an incident. My purse was picked from my while I was traveling, and I went to the police station. I wanted to file an FIR. And in Gujarat, like, when I went to that police station, there was a lot of liquor bottle put up on the table.
Right.
And, like, looking at so many liquor bottle, I was like bit taken aback. Then they said that some bootlegger was caught, so the liquor bottle was there. But the whole environment there, right? Okay, you sit there and we'll take. And then they were very reluctant to take the FIR.
Yeah.
You get so intimidated that I said, Chalo, I don't want my purse also, and I don't want anything, and I went away.
That's a very sad state of affairs, actually.
Now, when I look back, I'm educated,
Right?
right? And I could not. So the person who like has no background,
Yeah.
it would be very difficult for. In fact, this is what we used to give them an assignment, like, in law college. Okay, go and file an FIR and see
Yeah.
how easy it is to file an FIR.
And interestingly enough, ma'am, I should tell you, share something with you. I also went to the police station to file an FIR. And when I went there with about 20 people with me because I know I'd heard and I'd never been before, but I had to go this time. And it was they did try to intimidate. Because for women it is intimidating as the space itself is a little intimidating. And they also, I think you do get demoralized by the environment, by the actions.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I also cited the fact that an FIR must be registered based on the Lalita Kumari case, right? Only once you register the FIR and you investigate, then you decide if it's if it's a case or if it's a complaint case or not. So I also had a very tough experience because we sat there the whole day from morning to evening, and evening finally I got an endorsement, and the FIR never got registered. So although we speak about women empowerment and rights, and we are doing so much for women, somewhere I know today, because I have also gone through those experiences, that it's just in words. We don't actually give the space to women. We just talk about it. Do you feel that way?
I'll give you a very nice incident.
Yeah.
Ila Pathak runs an NGO, Avag. So she was sharing an incident that one lady came to the NGO, and she didn't want to go and stay with her in-laws. But when she was at work, the husband took all the luggage and went to her in-laws' place. So Ila Pathak went with her to the police station to file a report of theft. So police said, "ये theft कहाँ है? Her husband has taken thing, और वो घर का मामला है. And why are you NGOs getting into it and
Right.
spoiling her life and all?"
Right.
So Ila Pathak said, what is theft?
Right.
When somebody's things are taken away without the consent of the person, with an intention of taking away.
Correct.
So when she was not there, with the intention of taking away things, the things have been taken away without her consent. All the ingredients of theft are met.
Right.
Does it say that if this is my husband, then it is not a theft?
No.
Or it is a theft,
True.
irrespective of whoever has committed the theft.
True.
But the police people call the husband, try to patch up and things like that. And then she said it is so very difficult at times because women may not stand. Then the girl pulled back her complaint, saying that it was a misunderstanding. And NGO people instigated us to go and file the case.
Oh my God! I mean, it's actually it's so disheartening that
Yeah.
there's no space. Like, how do you move through situations like this? There's no space for you to navigate through these situations at all. The environment is not supportive at all.
See, the thing is, if the girl does not have a support of going back,
Yeah.
where will she go?
True. There's no place to go.
So somewhere then the only thing is compromise. They keep adjusting, and the day she's not able to adjust, she commits suicide.
I mean, that's
And
the
as the
only,
number of suicide cases are increasing.
true, because she can't go to her parents, she can't go to anybody, and she can't tolerate what's happening at home with her in-laws or with her husband. And I think we are seeing this all the time now. And this concept of, ma'am, that you mentioned, don't, wash your dirty laundry, don't घर के बातें बाहर मत करो, चार दीवारों के अंदर ये सब बात होना चाहिए. I think these are concepts that are probably brought about to somewhere oppress and and diminish the space of the females. Because what is ghar ki batein? Because whatever the men are speaking, that is not ghar ki batein, but they are speaking things, right? And they have a support system outside. They have a gang, they have their own boys, the men. But women don't have that also. We don't have a sisterhood.
Yeah.
We don't have that collective where we sit down and discuss, these are the issues, let's solve it. Somewhere I think that also is missing.
I'll give you another very a story, it's a true incident. One of my colleague, she was working with me, and then she decided to walk out of that marriage.
Okay.
And 20 long years she was married, And one fine day, she had an argument with her husband. And husband said, मेरे घर से निकल जाओ. Like, she felt so bad because she said, ma'am, 20 years into the marriage, she
Long
has
time.
2 boys. And there was time when husband's business did not go well. She took up a job. She supported the family for years and all. Things improved and the house was on husband's name and all. And one fine day, he said, तुम निकल जाओ. And when she left the house, she went to the hotel. Now she did not take any ID of hers. So in hotel she could not get a room because तुम्हारे पास ID नहीं है. Right? When she went to her mother's place, the mother said, बेटा ऐसा छोटा मोटा तो घर में होता रहता है. The mother and uncles brought her back and left her with her husband. Then she asked me, ma'am, आप तो लॉ वाले हो, अब बताओ लड़की का घर कौन सा है. आफ्टर 20 years ही सेइंग मेरे घर से निकलो. राइट. And I'm telling you, that is a time when she said, no, I'm going to live on my own. She took a flat, she bought things and she started staying on her own. So somewhere, where I look at that we are not making women independent.
Yeah.
And that dependency is a biggest drawback for women.
True.
Because parents are not very fine in bringing, accepting the married girl back home.
Right.
And she has always been dependent and she doesn't know where to go.
Yeah, I think it's such a lonely journey for an independent woman. The kind of support she garners if she takes a stance is so little, and she has to build, like, for example, ma'am, you spoke about her, 20 years in a marriage, she comes out, how tough to rebuild that life and how lonely. Because everyone is telling that it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And you feel betrayed because you have given your heart and soul and you sacrifice the best years of your life. In building somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And it counts for nothing.
मेरा घर है.
And to come back to this idea that, illegally, we see issues like dowry, posh, domestic violence. What are your thoughts on, these particular subjects?
Nisha, we have made laws, but there is a lot to be done where implementation and support system that is required to truly implement this law.
Right.
Right? Now, if I talk about dowry prohibition.
Yeah.
Dowry Prohibition Act was enacted in 1961.
Right.
Has dowry system stopped?
No.
No.
It's glorified on social media.
There is a law, but it has made no effect on the dowry system in
Why
our
so, ma'am?
country. Because Section 3 of the Act says the person who gives and the person who takes both will be penalized.
Then
Now
who's going to complain?
Then who's going to complain? And how are we going to implement that?
Right.
Right? Similarly, if you talk about POSH, I have been on some of the committees of the POSH at different places. What happens? Company doesn't want that this should come out that there has been some POSH
Question of reputation
and all that. Yeah.
Right.
So what happened when there is a real issue? Right? They will ask that man, you resign and go.
How come there's a collective supporting the men wrongdoers?
See, check out, right? Anywhere we women have been going, whether we are traveled by bus or whether you travel, sexually remarks are so very common. But how many times are anybody getting punished for it?
It's getting very, very normalized. It already has been normalized.
How do we teach our children? Avoid and just go.
What should one do?
I see, the thing is, there has to be a will to implement all these laws. Right? I would say that when we go to some foreign countries and when the laws we know are strong, we follow.
Right?
Right?
Right.
We won't throw a chocolate wrapper out of the window when you go to, say, a country like Sweden.
True.
But when we are in India,
Everywhere.
right?
Everywhere.
So the thing is, that is has to be strong in implementation of law.
So in posh, in work life, in work environment, it's very normal. I think these kind of incidents happen a lot, but they don't get penalized. They don't.
You will ask them to resign and go. The next place they will go and still do that.
I think also because the lack of women leadership, they feel like, for example, if you are a dean, you are a dean, and somebody comes up with this, I'm sure you would address the situation because you know what it means for another woman to go through with it. But somewhere I feel the lack of leadership also maybe, and also the pressure of the institutions, the companies.
Yeah, the thing is, many a time, like, even if you feel that it should be dealt very strongly, it doesn't happen.
Happen.
You try to bring compromise.
So there are laws, but they're actually not.
So what happens? You tell the girls, okay, we put you in some other department. You ask the men, you better resign and go. If that is proved, your career will get spoiled. And the matter is
diffuse the situation.
Taken, decided accordingly,
And what about domestic violence? There's so much of domestic violence, like everywhere. It's like it's okay to be beaten up if it's your husband, if it's somebody from the house.
Normalized, And I would say, most of us or most of the women are brought up with that mindset that you need to be submissive. This is there in our religion also. In Bible also there is a verse that it says that the wife should be submissive to their husband. One fine day my husband was telling me wife should be submissive to husband. See, Bible writes.
Right.
I said, read further. It says that the husband should love the wife so much as he loved his congregation, to die for it. If you love me so much, you're going to die for me, I would always be submissive.
Right. Right.
So being submissive, how do you take it? Right? If you don't listen to me, I'll beat you. And there is a word in Gujarati that is called dhani. Husband is taken as said that he's my dhani.
Okay. Owner?
Dhani means owner, kind, right?
Lord.
So, yeah. No, he's my owner. Dhani means he owns me.
Yeah.
So we got one lady who came to us, and she had a complaint that her brother-in-law beat her that day. So we were trying to understand what was the issue and all. Then she said, my husband beats me regularly, but today my brother-in-law beat me. So I said, then what is the problem today if you are getting beaten up every day?
Yeah.
So she said, रोज तो मेरा धनी मारता था. Like my husband was beating me. એ તો મારો ધણી છે ને. So he has a right to beat. But my brother-in-law do not have right to beat me.
They're so accepting of this.
So it was difficult for us to make that lady understand that your husband also do not have right to beat you. Right? So you're brought up with the concept of women being the property of men.
Yeah.
Right?
First the property of parents.
And
Parents
then say,
she's sent to the husband, and then why don't they go back? Like do they feel like they don't have a support system?
I don't think that roughly if I say 70% of the people will not want.
Yeah.
Like once they have married.
Yeah.
Then they would say, okay, bhai, tumhare. I would give you one incident.
Yeah.
As a child, when I was in some 9-10, my cousin got married.
Yeah.
And I remember in us, they give Sikh. And this Sikh was put up in the frame.
Okay.
और जब शादी पूरी हुई, डोली जाने लगती है ना, तो the other cousin, she sang that Sikh.
Okay.
और वो सीख ऐसी थी कि तुम एक चिड़िया थी,
अच्छा।
यहाँ दाना चुगने आई थी, तुम्हारा दाना चुगना हो गया, अब तुम तुम्हारे ससुराल जा रही हो।
अच्छा।
तुम्हारे ससुर तुम्हारे पापा आज से हैं, तुम्हारी मदर इन लॉ तुम्हारी माँ है, तुम्हारा ब्रदर इन लॉ भाई है, तुम्हारी सिस्टर इन लॉ तुम्हारी बहन है, और ये घर से तुम्हारी डोली जा रही है वहाँ, वो घर से तुम्हारी अर्थी उठनी है। राइट नाउ और वो फ्रेम करके उसको दिया है कि आपको लगाना है घर में ना. नाउ इफ द गर्ल लेडी इज गोइंग टू सी दैट कि ये घर में मेरी डोली आई है, यहाँ से मेरी अर्थी ही उठनी है. इन क्लियर वर्ड्स इट हैज़ बीन कन्वेड दैट तुम्हारा यहाँ दाना पानी ख़त्म हो गया, अब तुम्हारा दाना पानी वहीं है और वहीं से तुम्हारी अर्थी जानी है.
No matter what.
Now if she has any problem whether she will ever come.
She's been written off.
Right.
She's been told that यहाँ पे खत्म है, जो भी है जैसा भी है, that's your space.
See how things change when the mindset change. My other cousin, when she got married many years later, my chachi, she gave a seek, nothing, no return, nothing. She said, you are going to a new house. It is people which have who would have different outlook towards life. They may have different customs and all. You should be giving respect to everyone.
Right.
And in return, you should be getting respect. It's a new place, new culture, new house. You will have to make adjustments.
Right.
But that adjustment have to be to a limit.
So what should the mindset be, for a woman who's leaving, for a girl who's leaving home and going to the in-laws' place?
I would say regarding mindset, like the way my chachi told the daughter that there was no seek, nothing. This is how change happened. And like she told that, see, you're getting married, you're going to a new house, it's a new family, they may have different culture, custom. You will have to adjust there. You give respect to everybody, and everyone should be giving respect to you. And you have to adjust.
Yes.
But if you feel that you cannot adjust in that family and it's too much for you, you can come down. And this house is as much as yours as it is your brother's. Like this change in the mindset, I think, is what is needed as of now.
Yeah.
So that a girl should have a confidence
Right.
that I have a place where I can go back.
Absolutely.
Right? And if the parents don't give this confidence, she keeps on suffering.
Right.
And at times, like she doesn't share anything with anybody. And like you keep telling the girl, like, घर की बात नहीं बताना, तुम्हारा घर का मामला है, and all. And this is where the women really suffer.
I think girls do struggle to share all these because they don't want to hurt the parents. They do feel a lot of pressure, कि शादी नहीं चला, marriage didn't work, how do I say? And I think we make it worse by putting these kind of, burdens on them.
Very true. Like you are told, बंद है मुट्ठी तो लाख की, खुल गई तो खाक की, kind, that you have to keep everything within you. You should not share it.
Has this changed now?
Change, but to a limited extent.
Yeah.
In urban places, you will find like women are turning independent. They are like, but there is a flip side to it also, that there are those women who are educated, independent, now they don't want to get married.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah,
because they don't want to compromise with their life.
Right. They feel that they're not going to have the space to, take certain decisions and not
grow.
Get the support, to conduct life at their own terms.
And that is what is leading to the increase in the divorce rate also.
Absolutely. And do you think, ma'am, like talking about mindset, I also noticed that earlier there was a huge student activism because, if you look at history, right, more than policies, it's the people's movements that brought about these policies. It's not the legislature, right? So students were very active. They had unions. They would talk about issues. There would be uproar, like what happened in Nepal, right? It was youngsters who realized that it's not working. And did you have any experience in this space where you...
Yeah, when I was growing, I was in class 7, I think, way back in 1974. in Gujarat, like, Navnirman Andolan took place.
Right.
And it was students on the street everywhere.
Right.
They stood up against corruption, they stood up against administration, mismanagement, and all. And students' movement was so very strong that the government had to resign.
Right. Right.
So it is like, the young need to start thinking of the country. Like every one of us want to be on a safe plane, we
Enjoy our life.
our life, but we
Yeah.
don't want to take a stand for the country, or stand for like corruption, or
Yeah.
stand for mismanagement.
And everyone
all.
feels the others should do first. They feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
nobody is doing, why should I do? Or kuch hoga hi nahi. It won't happen because they say there's no hope. But they are not starting. The change begins from one person.
See how Gandhiji said, the change that you want to see,
Yeah.
that has come through you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
be the change
That
that,
you
you
want
want
to
to see.
Right,
So, like, we expect somebody to come and do. Who's going to do it?
True.
It is our country.
But how come now that whole it's diluted the activism? I don't see colleges, or universities or schools. I don't see that where there is space given to think and operate. And why is that a lack of that? How did that get diluted?
See, earlier private universities were few. And it was mainly public university. So when I studied in Maharaja Sayaji Rao University, this election is a big thing there.
Yeah, very big.
And that is a place where leadership grow.
True. True.
If they have to stand, if they have to speak, they have to know what the issues are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they go out, okay,
Yeah.
what is the issue in each department? And they bring it up. They want to help, they want to solve, and they turn leader,
Right.
right? With private universities are not encouraging student unions.
And ma'am, do you think now that we don't have these things happening and we see politics, right? I see there's so many educated people, they have ideas, they want to be in service, they want to make changes, and they understand the issues. But somewhere I feel they don't have a path to come
Yeah.
into the mainstream. Should there be a curriculum or a criteria, a curriculum where actually people get trained to come into politics, or they can learn more about how to navigate, coming into politics?
Yeah, this is what I really strongly believe.
Yeah.
Because many of the ones who come into politics,
Yeah.
right, do not have idea as to what they are supposed to do, right?
Right.
Because you're making laws.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows that also, that when you become a politician, you're actually making laws. That's what
and
happens in the
policies
assembly, right?
and all, right?
Yeah.
And now, if you have no idea
Yeah.
what is the law that is needed for the society,
Yeah.
how it has to be implemented,
Yeah.
how that law will bring about change,
Yeah.
how are you going to do it?
True. And I think that genuinely politicians who are seasoned, who have seen the country, who've been in the field, who are good leaders, should actually take a stance and come up with a curriculum. It's about time where we train people to come into the mainstream, and not just, not just in any other way where only people who have resources, only people who have a background, but people also on merit should have a space to come into the mainstream.
Legal professionals have contributed a lot towards independence or towards making of constitution. And like I think of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, I was there in the court where he practiced.
Oh, nice.
And like, the big story there is that he had a telegram of his mother's death in his pocket when he argued the matter, because the matter was there for argument. And he got the telegram, he went, argued, and thereafter when the client was asking question, he said, my mother has passed away and I would first want to go and finish the ritual, then I'll let you know the details. Right? And another very interesting thing that I knew about that there is no will made by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. because he never had any property to will out to
Oh,
his children.
right, right.
Right? That is a kind of leadership.
Hmm.
We call him Iron Man,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a kind of leadership. We do think, yes, we need a lot of money and a lot of resources and all. But we also need a lot of people with commitment for the country to
Want to
come up for
contribute to the
the,
country.
to the and somewhere we can have people
Hmm.
who help the politicians to understand what their roles are.
Hmm.
How do we go about making
Hmm.
law? Like if you
Hmm.
look at constitution, it
Hmm.
took so many
Yeah.
hours, or you can say duration for the constitution was to be
Yes.
made,
Yes.
and they sat through without being paid.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? That kind of dedication
Right.
for the country's well-being.
Yeah, I think that kind of patriotism. I mean, we think of Bhagat Singh or we think of Mangal Pandey, and we think of so many people who have
Yeah.
done. So it's not like it's not there, but somewhere I feel like that probably that fire is doused off because of I don't know what. It's just you see it less and less today. But there's one thing that's happening around the corner now, which is Zoran Mamdani. He's also been a lawyer. He was helping people who were being evicted from their apartments. And then he realized the issues. And if you look at his journey, he's a Muslim, he's an immigrant. Nobody knew about him a year back.
Father is a Muslim,
Yeah.
mother is a Punjabi.
Yes, yes, of Indian origin. But interesting enough that people actually can come in. It's not that they can't, but he says that, don't step back.
Yeah.
Take it one step forward. So I feel like resonating with you, the youth should come and take these steps forward. And when people say, I don't know how we're going to do it, I think you have to have a much more fiery approach.
I was reading a book now, Taking Your Turn.
Right.
It is, you have to, you don't know whether it's going to work or it's not going to work. But how would you know unless you try it?
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to, and like as you talk about Zoran, like a 34 years old
Yes.
in a different place,
Yes.
he can win.
True.
Then the other youth
Yeah.
also should think that way. And like I do feel like, most of our talent is going away to other countries. And they say, oh, these facilities we are not getting in India, or this we are not getting. That's why we are going. But who's going to bring the change?
Yeah.
Are we waiting somebody else to come and change?
If there's like one thing that you would tell, ma'am, to the youngsters, both boys and girls, and also something to the girls, that something that they should work on, from where they can start this journey of leadership, independent thinking, because you've seen so many people so closely. What would that be? Would you have like some smaller, starting points for them?
See, for starting point, I would always say first look at what you really want to do. And this should come out naturally from you. What I really want to do in life. At times, our youth, whether they are 26 or 28, like when I talk to them, what you want to do, they're not clear what they want to do in life.
True, true.
Right?
True.
So, first to identify what you want to do in life.
Right.
Secondly, then to see as to what is the knowledge set, or what are the skills that I would need to reach my destination. And then to work on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And the most important is to try.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We are so very intimidated. We are so very scared. What if I fail? If you fail, you fail.
Yeah.
At least you try.
Yeah.
And even if you fail, you learn something.
Yeah. True. Absolutely.
We shouldn't be so scared of failing. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're a very big example of coming from, I wouldn't say a very relaxed family or a background, but you built your life at your own terms and you have done tremendously well and contributed a lot to educations across states in different schools and universities and law colleges. And I think that itself shows that, having mental clarity and wanting to take your own decision and making something of your own life, it means something and it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah.
Absolutely can be done.
Yeah.
But you have to try.
Right.
And it's not that you don't fail. You do fail.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you, ma'am, and it is so much of wisdom. It's so packed with knowledge and learnings from life, and I'm sure anybody listening to this will understand the finer aspects of what we have tried to discuss here, and it's a pleasure to have spoken to you at this length. Thank you so much, ma'am.
It was my pleasure, Nisha. All the best. Do well in life.
Thank you,
God
ma'am.
bless.